Update. My fiancé said I'm holding my womb hostage. Original post. We've been together for 9 years, engaged for just under 1. I'm 29, he's 33. The other day, we were having a conversation about the future and then the subject turned to kids. How many, etc. I said I'd ideally want 2, and I didn't care what gender. He said he wanted 2 also, but doesn't want a daughter at all. When I pressed, he said it was because he wouldn't be able to relate to her and he didn't want to have to deal with all that. By all that, he meant periods and her dating/intimate life. I told him we would have no control over the gender for our kids. He said he knew, but if we had a daughter, he wouldn't be able to love her as much as a son. What? I wasn't having that. And I told him if that's the case, I'm not having kids with him. And he flew off the handle. He literally started yelling, saying I was holding my womb hostage. And once we're married, I wouldn't get the say in whether or not we have kids. That it's his right to have them if he wants. I'm not sure if that's how he meant it, but I think he was implying he'd forcefully impregnate me. It was so hateful. I left, quickly packing while he yelled at me. He followed me out to my car screaming, "That's right, run away," over and over. I've been staying with a friend for 2 days and I haven't told her why I'm not home with him. I don't even know how to begin unpacking the vitriol he spewed. He had never been so blatantly misogynistic. I don't think I even want to marry him anymore. But then I would have wasted 9 years of my life for nothing. He's been blowing up my phone apologizing, begging to talk to me. I can't take it anymore. I don't want to do anything hasty. Please, someone set my head straight. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy. You didn't lose 9 years. You're gaining back the rest of your life, free from a raging misogynist. This sounds stupid, but I feel dread at dating and starting over. I'm too old. I was your same age when I tried online dating again and met my now husband. We are now expecting our first child. You are not too old. Of course you feel that way. You grew up with this guy. You were only 20 when you got together. In the past 9 years, a guy has been causing you to attach your worth to him. But he's not right about that. You don't need him to be happy. Just like you know in your heart you don't need to have only boy children to be happy. It sounds like your heart knows this is the last straw. Take it from someone 15 years older than you. Listen to all these other women. Let them teach you, not some controlling man who just told you he would make you his incubator whether you like it or not. You're not here to breed for him and his family, my friend. You have the right to be free. This isn't medieval times. And take it from this divorcee. There's no feeling like being free from a life you didn't realize how much you disliked. And take it from this person who found her partner after 30, after being horrifically betrayed by another. You have time. You have lots of chances. There are way more tastier fish in the sea. Do what your heart wants. He's going to make you feel like you need to come home. You're not married. Think about what the word home means. Hint, it means love, trust, support, and safety. I want you to understand that was the luckiest day of your life. No idea how you missed this for 9 years. You need to think about this once you're clear and settled. But today, let's focus on the extraordinary gift he gave you when he revealed himself so clearly. You need to tell your friend exactly what happened. Your impulse to keep it to yourself tells me that you were not secure in the realization that you were in a romance with a dangerous chauvinistic monster. You're trying to leave yourself the option to go back. Please stop that. Of course, you cannot marry this man. He is a total creep. He threatened you with forced breeding. And he most certainly should never have children. But the only thing you need to make sure of is that he doesn't have them with you. Resolving now that your relationship is over is not hasty. It has taken you 9 years too long. Do not waste another moment of your life even entertaining the possibility of associating with this man. Also, OP, if you leave now, which you definitely should, you will not have wasted 9 years. You will have saved yourself and your theoretical children the entire rest of your lives from being mistreated by this person. Save yourself. Save yourself from a life with a horrible misogynistic a-hole. And write those 9 years off as you not knowing, because that's what they were. He hid this part of him, and you had no way to know it fully. At least it was only 9 years. Not 20, not 50, hell not even 10. And now for the update. Hi everyone. I just thought I'd do an actual update to what happened. So, I took you guys' advice and told my friend I'm staying with. She told me I could stay with her in her guest room until I found my own place. She called her brothers and they actually ended up going yesterday with me to grab my stuff. He tried to hide a bunch of my things, like my medicine and expensive skincare stuff, but they ended up getting it for me. He also tried to say that my game system was his and he'd report me for stealing it, even though it's mine. He also broke some stuff. I don't want to recap what else happened in detail because it was unnecessarily stressful. It took like 5 hours to get my clothes and personal items. The furniture we got secondhand from like Goodwill and Marketplace, so I'm really not worried about that. Before we left with my stuff, I told him it was over. And he seemed okay with it, but after we left, he blew up my phone telling me no one would want me, and calling me used up and all these vile names. I don't care anymore. I screenshotted the messages and blocked him. I called my parents and told them what happened, and they're telling our family the wedding's off so I don't have to do it. We hadn't put any deposits down yet, so no real loss. I guess on the bright side, I'm not so sad about him anymore. I'm flying to visit my family next week. Thanks guys for the help. I am incredibly relieved to hear all of this. Blessings upon your friend for being willing and able to give you a safe place to land and regroup. I hope you absolutely thrive as you move forward. I'm relieved too after seeing the way he behaved. I think eventually he would have killed me. Be really proud of yourself. You did such a brave thing. One day in the future, you look back with such a sense of relief and inner peace that this is over. And you'll have hope and excitement for your future, and it will all be down to current you. I wish you all the best. After things have calmed down a bit and if it's available to you, talking to a therapist will be really helpful for healing. I wish you the best. Therapy is definitely in the works. Thank you. Just remember, you didn't waste the time with him. You had your good times, and you grew in other ways. And he's 100% wrong when he tries to tell you that no one would want you. Just be grateful that his mask slipped before the wedding. Seriously, do you think anyone would want him if they knew about what he said/did? So basically, he got it backwards. Thank God he showed you this before you were married and pregnant. Also, it's wonderful you have a friend helping you so readily. Please consider cameras when you move and also getting a new phone number. Also get into counseling. It's possible there have been little things you didn't notice but could need to be undone so you don't miss them a second time around. Last story is titled, Update. How do I, 23 female, get over my resentment for my boyfriend, 22 male, and jealousy for my sister's 19 female relationship? Original post. I've been dating my boyfriend Gerald for over a year now, and I'm realizing that we never really did anything during the relationship. Before lockdown, we'd go out to eat and watch anime at his place, but that's it. Now that I look back on it, we never really did anything special and he never did anything nice for me. Like, we went out to the boardwalk for a date I planned, but he wanted to spend it playing arcade games. When I suggested various rides we can go on, he chickened out and said that those kinds of attractions freak him out. Dates with him were just getting takeout and playing video games, or watching him at his friend's game. He has been faltering in other parts of his life lately. Lost job but shows no interest in applying for work. Does nothing but sleep or play video games, and he's gained like 50 pounds. Since we've been apart, I've grown to resent him for never taking the initiative. It feels like I never really had a relationship with him, that he's more of just a friend than a boyfriend. Meanwhile, my sister and my best friend are dating incredible guys. They're handsome, driven, and hardworking. They're proactive. They take them out to do fun stuff like hiking or picnics or even do Zoom chats. Instead of video games and TV, they're playing games and even just chatting. My sister is even planning on moving overseas to be with her dude. I want the kind of relationships they're having, but my boyfriend doesn't seem to get the picture no matter how many times I've tried to talk to him. And here I am, stuck with this guy that I just can't feel anything more than resentment. I want him to push himself and show that he actually gives a damn about things. But instead, he just sits on a couch with his eyes locked on the screen and I can't stand it anymore. How do I get over my resentment for my boyfriend? And if possible, how to rein in my jealousy? Sorry if it's a lot to ask. Now for the top advice before reading the update. And here I am, stuck with this guy. You're not stuck with anything. You're making a choice. How do I get over my resentment for my boyfriend? You dump him. He's exactly who you've known. He hasn't changed, and he won't. So dump him and raise your standards. Require and get better of the people in your life. Your jealousy will cease to exist. I wish that is easy, but everyone tells me that he's the best for me. And face it, I have Asperger's and no one wants to date an Aspie. Why are you stuck with him? You're not married. You have no kids together, or I think you would have mentioned that. dump him and find a new boyfriend. I feel like he is going to go into a tailspin and spiral into a worse mental state. This happened before after a good friend of ours died. And if we're going to be honest, I feel like I'm never going to find someone better. Everyone always tells me that. On the other hand, it could be a wake-up call for him to get motivated and get off the couch and off the video game console. You are finding reasons to not break up with him, which is self-sabotaging. If you want to find someone better, make a plan. Start running or biking or something. Find a group where you can meet new people. Don't believe people who say you'll never find anyone better. But you also need to activate your own self to do that. If you allow yourself to believe that, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sweetheart, you'll never find anything better if you don't give anyone else the opportunity. You're young. This isn't the end of the road. Can you really imagine living the rest of your life being this unhappy? He has no motivation in life and you expect this man to marry you, have and raise children with you, be able to support your family. I dated a guy like this in high school, and when I was focusing on graduating, he was avoiding finishing school and growing into a functioning adult like the plague. I fully believe he expected me to carry the relationship, make the money and raise a family all on my own after we graduated. I made a better decision for myself to leave even as he told me he would kill himself if I left. And while I couldn't get him to have any motivation in our relationship, he actually started doing much better for himself after I left. It's absolutely okay to be selfish, especially if it makes you happier to do so. If you're genuinely concerned about his well-being after you split, tell some friends, tell a family member of his, tell someone that can keep an eye on him and get him help if he should need it. And don't ever believe anyone when they tell you can't do better, because you absolutely can. And now for the update. I made a post on r/relationship advice about 2 years ago. I don't think I got any actual helpful advice aside from dump him, but a lot has changed that I thought I would update. For starters, I dumped Gerald. He was upset and tried to convince me to give him a second chance, but I was done. I was sick of wasting all my time watching anime and gaming with him. I don't even like anime. And I was getting really burned out on nerd stuff to begin with. It took my older, more intimidating sister to tell him to never call me again. Last I heard, he was still unemployed and living with his parents. No one else in his life. Pretty sad to be honest. As for me, well, things are starting to look up. Part of my frustration 2 years ago was dating as someone with Asperger's. People think that, when you're an SB, you can't function well in society. They treat you like you were meant to be handled with kid gloves or like a young child. And I was frustrated that with my diagnosis, I was doomed to date losers like Gerald. To be honest, I didn't really find the advice I got helpful. I instead asked my sisters what to do. I always trusted their advice and I still do. I don't talk to my old friends from 2 years ago anymore. I realized they were just not worth keeping around. I was also fed up with my job in IT. I hated computers and the whole geek culture surrounding it, but felt pushed into it because of my Asperger's and how they are great at technology to begin with. It made good money, but what's the point of having that paycheck when you can't enjoy it? I had no real friends, a boyfriend I resented, a job that I was crying every time I thought about it. I was miserable. Thanks to my sister's help and advice, I decided to turn things around. I went back to school and I'm currently studying forensic science. It's something I was always passionate about but discouraged from pursuing for that more lucrative tech degree. I had an internship with my city's police department earlier this year and never have I found work that I found to be stimulating and fulfilling for me. I love hanging out with my friends I made. We share a dark humor that can brighten the grimmest of cases. I can actually talk to them about the things that interest me, like historical cold cases and anatomy and bizarre illnesses. And I am in a happy relationship. It's with someone I met in one of my classes and we complement each other so well. Never have I felt so content to be with someone. We have a date later tonight and are making plans to move in together. All in all, I will say this is a chapter of my life I consider closed. Me from 2 years ago will be happy to know that I am thriving now. It's weird she thinks she didn't get good advice when they said dump him. It was the right option, and what she ended up doing. It was literally the only solution to how do I get a relationship I want with someone who doesn't want the same kind of relationship. Maybe listening to her sisters say what everyone else said was crucial, especially since the sisters could elaborate and be more specific. I'm happy she had real-life support and smart sisters. Yep, and side note, Gerald definitely had some untreated mental health issues. Hopefully gets help. Doesn't sound like it though. I might be seeing patterns that aren't there, but there seem to be just as many men who think the right woman will fix or put up with him, instead of a therapist where they have to put in work, as there are women who think they can fix a man. Well, she seems very judgmental and unpleasant to be around. Glad things worked out for her. For real. It sounds like they just had different personalities, but she basically just chat on him. The only loser quality was he didn't try to find a job, but I'm pretty sure the original post was written around the height of the pandemic, so that could easily explain it. I'm leaving my husband because I found out that he has been making fun of me behind my back to his ex. Plus update. Original post. My husband, male 45 and I, female 36, met about 6 years ago. We have been married for 1 year. When we met, I was very fit and athletic. I started gaining weight, however, after suffering 2 miscarriages and the loss of my mother to cancer. I was very depressed and barely got out of bed if not to go to work. I stopped exercising and instead started eating junk food. I gained 40 pounds in 2 years, 2019 to 2020. Under this time, my husband, then fiancé, was very supportive and loving. I felt guilty and tried to give him an out several times, but instead, he proposed and we got married last summer. Since our marriage, I have been feeling much better and it showed. I've lost around 20 pounds so far and I gained back my muscles and abs. He was so happy to see me feeling better. On his computer, however, it was totally a different story. He was talking almost under our entire relationship to his ex-wife about me. His ex-wife, female 46, left him about 4 to 8 years ago for her colleague. The relationship didn't work, however, and she tried to get back together with my husband. He has already met me, but they stayed friends, mostly via chat, texting since she lives 12 hours away. My husband was complaining about everything about me. My job, my depression, my cooking, but mostly about my weight. He was telling her how disgusting I was to him, how he even found it hard to share the same bed since I snored like a dog. He sent her pictures of me while sleeping, sometimes in underwear with comments about my belly, double chin, back boobs, etc. She found these pictures extremely amusing, and she came up with the name White Whale. They both found it hilarious, and now this is what they referred to me as. They don't flirt exactly, or talk about being together or starting an affair, but they do say they miss each other, and they reminisce about the time they were married. She's more flirtatious, and he really enjoys it. Whatever is telling her isn't what I have experienced with him. I don't disgust him. He tells me that he loves me all the time. We have great and passionate bedroom fun, and the way he touches and makes love to me is so great. He must be a really good actor if he was in reality disgusted by me. And he hates the few times we have to sleep apart. He's lying and I don't know why he's doing it. He's lying to one of us, and I'm not sure if I want to know who he's lying to and why. I decided to get out of this marriage and leave this behind me. Right now, I'm acting like everything is normal, but I have started looking for a new job in another city and a place to rent. I also started with birth control pills in case something happens between us, and I have talked to a lawyer to prepare the divorce and start the process once I'm gone. One thing I'm not going to do is fall back into depression and weight gain. I will not allow it. What a waste of love he has been. Edit. I can't believe I need to explain this about the birth control pills. Very simple explanation. Up until I went through his messenger, I loved and trusted this guy. We had a great intimate life and we were trying to conceive. When I read what he has written and the way he took pictures of me sleeping, something happened inside of me, like I don't know this person in front of me anymore. I can't read his face and I don't trust him. I don't know how long I'm going to need to stay under the same roof as him. I don't know what his reaction would be if I refused him under a long period of time with no real excuse. I don't know what else is capable of besides taking pictures of sleeping people. I don't know if I, in a moment of weakness, succumbed to lust or if he for a moment could fool me that he actually loved me. For all these reasons and many darker scenarios I have played in my head, I'm taking extra precautions. Anyone with an IQ of a chicken could understand that, or so I hope. Thank you everyone for the support. I will update you when I know more about where I'm headed. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Well, at least he is giving you a quick way to lose some dead weight. What an a-hole. You will be much better off without him. Right, she's about to excise a 160 plus pounds malignant tumor. That's living well all by itself. I don't know why, but it never ceases to amaze me how quietly cruel spouses can be behind the other's back. Good luck, OP. You're smart and deserve a much better life. Go get it. I'm so happy you have the fight in you. He needs to go play weird, messed up games with his wretched ex. I'm not, and I will never be that thin. I knew I was with one of the good ones when I was over at my boyfriend's, and he thought I was asleep. But I got up to use the bathroom and overheard him talking to his friends online while they were playing Halo in his living room. He said something along the lines of, "No, she's not thin at all actually. Why?" And I think to myself, oh, here we go. When he straightens up and goes, "What? No, actually it's great. She's so great to cuddle with. She's always super warm and I'm always freezing. Also, when we go out, she actually wants to eat real food. Plus her boobs, man. The huge skinny girls don't get fronts like that. I know they're real." At that point, I walked over and gave him a kiss. He was super embarrassed I had overheard him. "I'm so proud of you for leaving. Stick to your plan and be done with him. I can't even fathom the gut punch reading White Whale was. Definitely make sure to screenshot and print out the conversations for when you make your exit. Block him, block his family if need be, because you never know what kind of crazy story he could make up. And most importantly, take care of yourself. We're rooting for you." It was this picture of me with my belly hanging out while sleeping on my side that earned me the nickname the White Whale. Sharing a photo someone did not give permission for, let alone taking the photo, is a huge violation. I'm sorry, such an ass. I applaud you resolving plans. He didn't deserve you. I would suggest printing out the emails, then leave them on the kitchen counter with your house keys and wedding band when you leave. Leave while it's not there. If that's how he wants to behave, let him see that you left him because of it. I will probably do that, yeah. I don't want to confront him now that I'm still living with him. But once I'm out, it's probably the easiest way to explain why. Print his conversations and hand it to him. How are you going to keep up the ruse though until you leave? Do you think at some point he will notice and will start asking questions? By the way, I totally think you are a superwoman and support you in what you've accomplished and what you are doing. And now for the update. Hi again. I don't know how to make an update, but my original post is in my profile. But I'm feeling happy, so happy for the first time in weeks. And I wanted to share that with you since many of you supported me and requested an update. I thought it would be the decent thing to do. So, here comes nothing. I didn't pry or spy on my husband. I used his MacBook to do some work, and he had forgotten to log out from Facebook and Messenger. He has never given me any reason to spy on him. After I found out, however, I would occasionally check his phone. Maybe hoping that it was all a bad joke. He continued complaining anyhow, and now he was telling her I was being distant and cold in manner and that he was tired of me. He even lied and told her I was gaining even more weight, even though I'm not. He told her we weren't being intimate anymore. I avoided him because he couldn't find it under the rolls of fat. A joke that she highly appreciated. I didn't spy after that. I got the confirmation I needed. In the meantime, he acted a worried husband with me, concerned about me and asking if I was going through a new depression. He told me he loved me and that he was there for me. He did everything like previous times I had dips. Called from work, came home with takeouts from my favorite restaurants, did all the cleaning and washing around the house, baked fresh bread in the mornings, flowers and chocolate, and asked me if I wanted to go for a nighttime drive/walks. He used to take me for a drive the nights I was feeling very down and depressed. How can anyone be so two-faced? I have my big sister who lives in another city. I told her that I was leaving my husband and that I was looking for jobs in her city. My sister was married and she lives with her husband and daughter in a big house, and she offered me one of her spare bedrooms. I got a few job interviews, and one of them turned into an offer. It's not exactly my field of work, and it came with a significant decrease in salary. But I thought about it, and it's a good start until something more suitable comes up. I didn't want to prolong my stay with him any longer, and a decrease in income is a good sacrifice. Plus, I'm going to have lower rent, and I'm selling my car since the new job is a walking distance from my sister's house. No more worry about the crazy gas prices. My new job starts on October 1st. I'm working my notice period from my computer. The 2 months between jobs, I'm just going to have fun and work on myself. I took my name off the lease, but I'm going to pay 2 more months. I left him last Sunday. The night before, I prepared a very nice dinner and I effed his brains out all night. It felt so good to hear him whispering how much he loved me and how lucky he was to have me. In the morning, I left the divorce papers and my attorney's number in the kitchen. When I got to my sister, I finally could tell her and the rest of my family about everything. I showed them all his conversations and even the pictures he's taken of me, and now they're all angry at him. He has been calling and texting obsessively, but he doesn't know where I live now. Emailed, DM, even went to my parents, but they just shunned him at the door and advised him to let me go. Maybe he knows now because he's been asking to explain and apologize, etc. I don't care. All I've texted back is that if he wants to convey a message, he could do it through my lawyer. Edit: my parents were divorced and both remarried. Mom passed away almost 3 years ago. I went to Dad's house looking for me. Dad lives there with my stepmom and 2 of my sisters. This is the update I'm waiting for. I feel glad for you. Thank you. It feels like a big weight has lifted off my chest when I finally left our apartment. Best update I've read in a while. Such a satisfying conclusion to an otherwise horrific situation. Imagine being such a loser that you feel the need to validate your cheating ex-wife by saying despicable things about your current not cheating wife. Dude is a chump. You're better off, OP. Rooting for you. Exactly. I've known and even been in a long-term relationship with people like that, who will do anything to try to impress the people in their lives that treat them the worst, while neglecting and taking advantage of the people in their lives that treat them the best. I'm sure it's some kind of psychological disorder with its roots in some kind of childhood trauma, but it's not one that's worth your time to try to help the other person work through. Because the amount of damage these people can cause you in their desperation to be accepted by people that treat them like trash isn't something that you can just get over. Heck yes. Explain? What the heck is there to explain? I'm glad to hear you ditched him. How can someone be so two-faced? He wants an opportunity to weasel his way back in. I'd pay money to read the messages he is now sending his ex. How do you spin being dumped like a sad sack? Now, for the last story, my brother is gaslighting the heck out of his wife. What can I do about it? I know gaslighting is a term that gets thrown around a lot lately, so please correct me if I'm not using it right, but I think I am. So to start, I'm 23 years old female. My brother is 34 years old and he's married to a girl who is 21 years old. They have 3 kids together. He treats her like crap. And no matter what I say to her, she'll just make excuses for it. She'll say he's tired from work or whatever. And it reached to a point where if I talk too badly about him, she'll get annoyed with me and stop talking to me for a while. Anyway, I recently heard he cheated on her. The person who told me is a reliable source, so I'm sure he did cheat. But I don't have any solid proof. I still don't know if I should say something to her or not since I don't have proof. She's talked to me a few times about things she's noticed off, that I've told her were red flags that she should look into. One of the things was his longer hours at work. She said she was talking to one of his coworkers' wife and mentioned how hard the longer hours have been. The wife had no idea what she was talking about as her husband wasn't working any extra hours. I told her that was weird and she should look into it. She ended up asking my brother and he gave her a BS excuse about how just his department was working late. I pointed out the husband of the woman she talked to worked in the same department as my brother. She was just like, oh, I'm sure there are smaller inner departments we don't know about. Then she found texts on his phone, like straight up cheating texts. She confronted him about it, and he said it was one of his coworkers texting his girlfriend from his phone. The last thing I'm putting, there are more but I don't have the room for them all, is that she found a ring in their SUV that he used when his truck was in the shop. He claimed it was mine. It must have fallen off when I used the car to pick up their kids. She went to return it to me and I told her it wasn't mine. When she asked my brother again, he told her he hadn't meant me. He meant our other sister or one of her friends, but she never picked up the kids. None of them even have their licenses. So why would he have said she used the car to pick up the kids? And that's when the ring got in there if she never has before? How can I get her to snap out of it without getting her mad? I really don't have much of a relationship with my brother, to be honest. I have a relationship with her because we were both in cheer together in high school. Editing in to say that she has her own job and income that she can support herself on. I don't know why people are assuming she doesn't. Now for the advice. Honestly, she's so manipulated I don't think you can help her. Just make sure she knows you're there and on her side if she ever decides to leave. If you keep pushing her, then she'll go no contact with you and might feel too scared to come to you for help when she wants to leave. Okay, thanks. It just sucks seeing it. Your 34-year-old brother already has 3 kids with a 21-year-old? When did they get together? May not be illegal, but sounds like textbook grooming and manipulation on your brother's part. 3 kids are about 3 years back, meaning they got together when he was 31 and she was 18. That's legal, but often seen as problematic due to the power imbalances. Sorry, I know you didn't ask about that, but just that alone is a red flag. As for gaslighting is the intent to cause someone to think they are crazy. I think here, he's only being defensive, which is awful in its own right as it can cause a gaslighting-like impact. But it isn't gaslighting unless he means to make her doubt her sanity. And I'm not sure if that's the case. Anyway, I'd suggest Googling how to support someone in an emotionally abusive relationship and read some articles for tips. Mostly, though, it comes down to active listening skills. As often, it's hard for the victims to take advice because they're so confused as is. So it's more helpful to use active listening skills to help them figure out their own feelings, which will empower them to trust and value themselves more. This helps them a lot, as lack of trusting and valuing themselves is often what makes it hard for them to leave. Thanks for that clarification. Yeah, they started officially dating when she was 18. Officially. Yeah, I doubt I know the full story. She should be tested for STDs. Other than that, you need to step back. You have tried. She will listen when she's ready. The best thing you can do short-term for her is get her an appointment with an OB/GYN or community health clinic to get tested. Long-term, it is clear she is vulnerable with low self-esteem and so she has blinders on. It will take more than just you for her to see the light. What do her parents say about this situation? Your parents? Your other sister? Her siblings? Her friends? It will take a large circle of support for her to see reason. If it's just you versus your brother, she's going to stick with him because she's blindsided by their relationship. You need to figure out who else she is close to that can be trusted and help you support her. Update. Am I the a-hole for backing out of making my sister-in-law's wedding dress? Original post. I, 24, female, am a seamstress/dress designer who works for private clients on commission. 2 years ago, my sister got married, and as my gift to her, I designed and made her wedding dress free of charge, and all her bridesmaid dresses at cost of raw materials. My brother's then girlfriend, now fiancé, was part of the wedding party and knew I was doing this. Before I even started designing, she asked me if for her and my brother's wedding would I make her dress? I casually agreed. When actually making the gowns, my sister and her other 5 bridesmaids were so nice and pleasant to work with, but my brother's girlfriend was a nightmare. She kept asking me to make changes after we finalized the designs, and I had already started making the dresses. She would cancel and just not show up to fittings. She complained constantly of how it looked tacky and unprofessional. And she even ripped the fabric on purpose when I told her I could not make any more changes. And I had to go on a wild goose chase to get more of the same fabric in the right color. The place I bought it from no longer carried it. My brother proposed 2 weeks ago, and the first thing my new sister-in-law did was come over to me and ask when we could meet to start designing. Now at this point in my career, I have dealt with my fair share of bridezillas and control freaks, and I know how to handle them. So, I let her know at times she could come to my studio for a consultation. Last week was her appointment, and she came in all excited. But when I brought out my pricings and options for her, she got really mad, saying it wasn't fair to expect her to pay when we were a family, and I had given other family theirs for free. I told her nicely that I charged for my work, as would any other vendor she got for a wedding, and that we can look at the most affordable package I have if she was concerned about cost. At this, she totally lost it, screaming at me that I'm a worthless witch, whose work isn't even good enough for her, and that she was doing me a favor by letting me have this opportunity. I tried to calm her down so we could talk, but she just got worse, knocking over one of my display cases and shattering glass, beads, and expensive jewelry all over the floor. At that point, I was done and yelled at her to get out of my studio before I called the cops. Later that day, my brother called me and yelled at me for being so disgusting and unwelcoming to his fiancée. I explained to him that I am more than happy to make her gown and her bridesmaids' gowns at a fair price, but he got even more upset and said that I had done our sister for free, so I should do this one for free too. Now my parents and brother are mad at me, threatening to leave me out of the wedding if I don't make her a free dress. But I still think I should be paid for my work. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. I don't disagree with you and she is reprehensible. And you're entitled to be paid for your work, and she should pay for the damage that she caused. And I understand you not wanting to lift a finger for now. But I am curious as to why you made a dress as a gift for your sister, but would it do the same for your future sister-in-law? Essentially a gift for your brother. Is it just because she's a nightmare to work with? Don't get me wrong, that's reason enough. I'm just wondering because it seems like it would have avoided a lot of family drama. Not the a-hole. I'm extremely close with my sister. We are twins, and when I was starting out with my studio, she helped me out so much. I love her and wanted to give her a specialized one-of-a-kind gift. And since dressmaking is what I'm good at, that is what I decided to give her. I didn't want to do my sister-in-law's for free because it is a very expensive gift. From materials to labor, it costs a lot. I do not feel like we are close enough for me to do this for her. It is thousands of dollars in materials and potentially hundreds of hours of construction. Not to mention the time that could have been used on other potential commissions, my workers' wages, and her potential to be a bridezilla and make my work life miserable. Not the a-hole. Print out a receipt for damages and give it to your brother and family. Then include the prices for your skills and material. Then send another bill asking for a deposit that will cover future damage/BS. Ask who is willing to pay for all that, because no way in hell should it be you. If you know any other seamstress/designers, pass the word so they know what they are getting into if they agree to work with her. Future sister-in-law should learn a very expensive lesson. But I'm an a-hole like that. I'm thankfully at this stage of life where I don't care about being nice or keeping the peace. If she refuses to pay damages, take it to small claims court. Yeah, get her served at the wedding. It'll be your gift to them. This is the ultimate petty revenge and I love it. Have the process server wait until the objection part of the vows. Object, then saunter down the aisle to serve her. I'm sure someone at the wedding can send OP a picture of sister-in-law's face when that happens. Now for the update. First of all, thank you for all your comments, positive and negative. They really helped me see what I did wrong, how I could have handled it better, and what I should do going forward. So as many of you suggested, I sat down with my parents and brother and told them the story from my perspective. From how sister-in-law behaved 2 years ago, through what happened at my studio last week with the CCTV footage as proof. They were shocked, because as many of you suggested, sister-in-law had been spinning lies to cover up her faults and had been completely fooling them. Right away, my parents apologized for how they treated me, and my brother became very quiet. I told him that I would not be making her a dress anymore, regardless of if she would be willing to pay. But if he wanted, I could make him a suit for the wedding, on my own time since my studio specializes in women's wear. My brother thanked me and left. The next day, I got a call from sister-in-law. She was furious. She wanted to know what sort of manipulation and lies I told my brother to make him put the wedding on hold. Apparently, after our meeting, he went home and told her that he was very disappointed and hurt she would treat me this way, and he needed time to think about whether this step was the right one, so he put the wedding on hold. Sister-in-law was so mad she came to my apartment and banged on my door for a good half hour, but I refused to open the door for her. She was screaming so loudly one of my neighbors ended up calling the cops for a noise disturbance, and she was escorted to the police station. I don't know what happened to her after that. Yesterday, my brother came over to my apartment and we had a long talk. It turns out some of you were right, and he did feel left out and hurt by my actions. Since my sister is my twin, he has always felt like we both care a lot less about him than each other. We ended up calling my sister on the phone. She lives in a different country now and all three of us had a long, tearful talk. I made sure my brother knows that I love him immensely, and nothing could ever change that. We hugged it out, and now I believe our relationship is the strongest it's ever been. And I promised on paper that I will make his suit for his wedding, free of charge. After I promised, he told us that he no longer wants to marry sister-in-law, and that he has already started looking for a new apartment. He said a decision was not easy, but ultimately he wants to marry someone who can feel at home in the family, not someone who makes his family uncomfortable. So when he does find the right one, I will be making him and not her the wedding attire. Thank you all for your help and advice. I will not post any other updates because I believe this matter will be over now. I have made custom wedding gowns. People always think they're going to get a one-of-a-kind, over-the-top dress, but for just a few $100. Even after they see how much the fabric and the lace cost, they think you should do the work for free. I think OP is a saint for doing not just a wedding gown, but an entire entourage of bridesmaids as well. A relative made me a dress as a gift. Just the cost of the fabric and the lace ended up being around $400, 20 years ago. That's before all the crazy amount of hours of work and fittings time. A full dress for a major event is easily in the thousands of dollars. I think people underestimate how expensive it is to get good quality white fabric. The reason why the little black dress is a classic is partly because even cheap fabric looks pretty good in black. The fact that light doesn't reflect off it makes it look heavier/smoother than it really is. White shows up all the texture of the fabric, so you can really tell the quality, or lack thereof. More proof, I think, that some people think that a person's value is the same as their fee for the service being provided. Luckily, the brothers saw the issues before the wedding and everything was done. Selfish, disrespectful people like sister-in-law always show their true colors eventually. When she decided to get married into a loving, functional family, it really was just a matter of time until she butt heads with someone and showed her fiancé who she really is. Unfortunately for OP, sister-in-law chose her. Good for the brother for choosing a wonderful family over a rotten fiancé. Last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for not attending my best friend's wedding? Original post. I, 28 female, am entangled in a wedding drama of epic proportions. My recently engaged best friend, 29 female, asked me to be her maid of honor, and words can't even describe how happy I was. We've been inseparable since kindergarten, and I was ready to make her big day unforgettable. I spent nearly $700 on our bachelorette party, buying cute outfits for everyone and renting a party bus with all-you-can-drink drinks. The other girls pitched in, but I'm the most financially stable, so the majority fell on me. I helped plan the wedding of her dreams, right down to contacting the vendors and setting dates when she was too busy. I made a save the date and invitation cards. What I'm trying to say is that I did a lot for her. And then 2 weeks before the wedding, my best friend asked me to step down and said that her future sister-in-law would be taking the role of maid of honor. I was angry, and we got into a huge argument over this, where I admittedly said things I wasn't proud of. Since then, I've received texts from our friends, best friend's family, the groom's family, and even sister-in-law, telling me that I'm a drama queen who needs to get over herself, and that it isn't about me. This has really gotten to me and I need to know, was I in the wrong? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. She changed her mind about you being her maid of honor after you've done so much for her and spent so much money, so you get to change your mind about attending the wedding. Simple as that. Info. Did she give you a reason for why she asked you to step down? Sister-in-law's an introvert and might never get to be a maid of honor, while I have a large friend group and might be a maid of honor at one of their weddings. I'm fairly introverted, but that's such a weird reason. Is she close to her future sister-in-law? I feel like that justification is a bit of a cop-out. By the way, you are not the a-hole. Stick with it. That's no way to treat a friend who has spent money for your wedding that you've basically known your entire life. She isn't particularly close to sister-in-law, and even would complain about her at times. Sister-in-law is the youngest member of the nearby extended family. She's 18. I don't know if that changes things, but my friend felt like sister-in-law was cuddled. Info. Did you ask anyone to financially compensate you after you were asked to step down? This feels like a gross bait and switch. Not the a-hole, this is some BS. I tried asking for some of the money back, but she called me money hungry and said I never told her it was conditional. Well, apparently it was conditional, since you were asked to step down. Have you talked to sister-in-law? Once or twice before this went down. She has been texting and calling me to tell me what a self-centered jerk I am, but I haven't replied. The financial burden is a major part of accepting the role. I'm so sorry this BS is happening. Never mind not attending. I'd probably walk away entirely from this relationship. I wouldn't burn bridges if I can help it, in case there's some behind-the-scenes manipulation/abuse happening. Below contact for sure. This is cruel and selfish of them. Not the a-hole. I didn't consider behind-the-scenes abuse. From what I've seen of the fiancé, he's very kind and sweet and treats her right. But I don't know much about the family. I want to talk to my friend once emotions settle a bit. Thank you for your advice and judgment. Now for the updates. Mini update. A small update and to answer some questions. I asked for $200 of the money back because the $500 was repayment from when she paid my rent in college for a month. I hadn't paid her back sooner because she requested I use it for a bachelorette. She's been dating her fiancé for 8 years, and we're waiting to be more financially stable before getting married. So, I called her this morning and asked to talk. She agreed, and we set up a meeting on Thursday at a local coffee shop. I'm a bit concerned because she sounded really shy and nervous on the phone. Hopefully that goes well, and I can do an official update with happy news. Thank you so much for your advice and comments. Now for the full update. Hi everyone, this is an update to my previous post which you can find on my profile. First, I just want to thank everyone again for how kind and supportive you have all been, but also how honest. I took everything to heart, and everyone's advice was great. Now on to the update. I met my friend at around 9 a.m. yesterday at a local coffee shop. She looked really bad. Her hair was super greasy and unkempt. She had really bad eye bags, and she seemed totally exhausted. When I asked her what was wrong, she just apologized. I kept prodding and it turns out that her in-laws are real pieces of work. Apparently, they've been harassing her for nearly 3 years about having sister-in-law as the maid of honor at the wedding. And when my friend chose me, they went ballistic. My friend said she thought she'd be able to handle it until the wedding day, but then mother-in-law threatened to ruin her wedding unless sister-in-law was the maid of honor. My friend panicked, and that's when she told me I would no longer be maid of honor. She apologized for the money-hungry comment and said that she was just in such an awful place mentally that hearing me mention the money made her really upset. The reason all our friends were attacking me is because they knew about the mother-in-law situation, as my friend never mentioned it to me. Because she didn't want me to step down because of mother-in-law, and they thought I also knew the whole story. And as for the fiancé, he was completely in the dark. He doesn't have a good relationship with his mother already, and my friend didn't want to be what destroyed that relationship. When my friend told me all this, I felt awful. I didn't know she was enduring 3 years of harassment because of me. I immediately apologized, and she apologized, and we both cried a lot. When the tears stopped, she pulled out an envelope with $200 and gave it to me. I originally refused, but she insisted, so I took it. I encouraged her to tell her fiancé, because keeping this from him wasn't helping anyone. And if he decided to cut off mother-in-law, then that was his decision, not hers. After talking a lot more about future boundaries, our friendship and the wedding, I decided I would go to the wedding and we'd still be friends. I know my friend didn't handle this in the best way, but I've known her for over 2 decades, and she's practically my platonic soulmate. That's not something you should throw away because of this. Originally, that was how my updates ended, but as I was about to write this, I received a text from my friend saying that Fiancé disinvited his mom, and practically half the family including sister-in-law, because of their treatment of my friend and me. She asked if I would be willing to be the maid of honor again, and I said yes. I just want to give a final thank you to Reddit for helping me through this, and I hope all of you have a nice night. Wow, what an emotional roller coaster! It's amazing to see how your friendship has stood the test of time and endured through this difficult situation. It takes a lot of strength to forgive and move forward, and I truly admire that. Wishing you all the best for the wedding, and kudos to the fiancé for taking a stand against the toxic behavior. Reddit really came through with some solid advice, as always. Stay strong. Have things been clarified with the other friends, and did they apologize to OP? All of this, it is nice that the bride apologized, but it is also on her to clear the air with the other friends and help make amends between them and OP. I can sympathize with the stress bride was under, but it does not negate the hurt done to OP by their other friends because of her actions. I genuinely cannot fathom planning a wedding with someone who either couldn't or wouldn't openly communicate about stuff like this. Right? If a boyfriend's family did half this crap to me, I'd run and tell him first. And he'd better do something, otherwise I'm gone. Not an ultimatum, but I'm at a point in my life where I'm not going to beg or train a partner to treat me with respect.